Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Inside the Lab weekly live experience. I'm Terrence, your host and operator here of the show. And I tell you what, I put a post over on the community tab about how I said I miss you all 3000 because last week we had to cancel the show. I was feeling a little under the weather, and normally when you're dealing with congestion, nasal congestion and things like that, you sound different on the microphone, so it's not auditorily pleasing to you, the audience, if that's even a word. I don't know, but we're here. When speaking of words, we got a lot to discuss and get caught up with the community here in episode 53 of the live experience as folks trickle in and you're here watching the replay. First and foremost, shout out to our replay viewers. Excuse me. Wow. I love our live audience and everybody that participates during the live experience. The show is left up as is so our replay viewers can enjoy it as close to our live viewers. So yeah, well, that's that. But anyway, shout out to our replay viewers. If you have any questions about anything discussed throughout the duration of this live stream, do feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome. Also, let me know in the comment section or right here live with me right now if you're a first-time viewer, and down the replay if you're a hashtag first-time viewer. If you have any questions about anything discussed throughout the duration of this live stream, leave a timestamp down in the comment section below, and I will reply to it as best as I can and as quickly as I can to help you with any pain points or any obstacles you may have along the way. So that's for our replay viewers, and of course for those of you who are live with us right now, of course, if you have any questions about anything discussed throughout the duration of this live stream or this live show, do let us know. We're going to give a little bit of time for friends to trickle in. I do want to get you caught up though on some of the upcoming content. You may or may not have seen some of the Battlefield 2042 benchmark videos I put out. You can find those on the benchmark playlist over on the home section of the channel. But I benchmarked Battlefield 2042 before the update 3.1 at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. Got some erroneous data and figures that didn't seem like things were adding up in terms of optimization. And then my Battlefield 2042 hardware review, it's a little late, but it's coming up here. Hopefully by Monday I can shoot that video, get it edited out. It's a different format to the way I guess not reviewed games, but just reviewed games in terms of how they perform on some of the highest, I guess, graphic settings at different resolutions. That'd be 1080p, 1440p, or 4K. It would appear, though, that the most popular resolutions of those three videos was 1080p. So when as you will see in my Battlefield 2042 hardware review video, that is the resolution that I base tested the game with some slightly weird bottleneck figures going on, but you'll see that in that video. So do keep a lookout for that notification if you're not yet. First of all, do hit the like button for me on your way in or on your way out, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Hopefully I will have earned your subscription throughout the duration of this live stream, which again, in this episode, we're discussing the gift of PC gaming, and that is, should you build should you build now or buy a pre-built later, right? That is what essentially we're going to dive in and discuss in today's episode. So let's jump right into it. We're going to jump right into it here with my helpful title screen here. And that is, again, repeating the title is, the gift of PC gaming. Should you go custom or pre-built? And that is, we're speaking to the individual who may be in a process of wanting to buy a PC as a gift, or you could also, be wanting to buy this as a gift for yourself. So this question can be presented twofold, if you will. It can be that there is someone on the other end, there's a recipient of this gift. This individual wants a PC, or they're in desperate need of a system upgrade, a complete system upgrade. Maybe they're gaming on older hardware. You've heard their pain points. Now, it is the gift that keeps on giving. A gaming PC, an expensive and well-deserved token of opportunity and entertainment. It presents a little bit of both, but it is nonetheless a high-value gift either way you go down the slide, right? But as the holiday season bears down upon us, and you feel the pressure from a spouse, friend, family member, or partner, or again, one from yourself, that being that you might have been able to save up some money, or you got a Christmas bonus coming up, or maybe a bonus from your employer, and you want to treat yourself to something nice for the holiday season, or again, you're in a position to, get a gift for a spouse, a partner, a child or a friend or family member, what have you. But you start feeling that pressure of nailing the right machine as the de facto gaming and media consumption and creation, a device that leaves both the presenter and presentee enamored in awe, right? Rather that be expected or in astonishment. And we're going to get to that a little bit down the road. And now, when you rightfully decide that that machine should be a gaming PC, okay, whether that's an upgrade, or whether they're upgrading the system, or that's a pre-built, or it's like a custom DIY system, we're going to dive into all three of those down this live stream. For our regular viewers, you likely have we may have covered this, but today we're going to cover it in a slightly different format. But which direction should you go, right? What should you look out for along the way? And what should you expect? This is, again, for that individual who is in a position to want to buy a gaming PC this holiday season to keep up with this year's, experimenting once again, just continuing to experiment with the live show or the live experience here in season 2. But this is the first year or the first season where we've actually did a holiday special like this, where we covered multiple gift ideas for someone who may not be in the know, or who may not be as familiarized with this platform that is the PC platform. You may again have a spouse or a partner who plays their games on a PC, or maybe they're a content creator, maybe they want to be a content creator. That they are going to need a high-end gaming PC. They do not want to use a Mac, so you will likely be somewhere caught in between these two paths. So which direction should you go? And again, what should you look out for along the way in terms of should you go custom or pre-built? And what should you expect next? That is what we are discussing during today's live stream, of course, while answering any and all of your questions along the way. Again, if you're a first-time viewer, let me know here in the comment section. I'm Terrence, your host and operator of the ride that we call the weekly live experience. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. I'm fired up, and we're going to start with pre-builts. We're going to start with pre-builts, and first and foremost, pre-builts, you'll notice a reoccurring theme as we discuss the two paths, each of these options, these two paths that we are presented with, either building a system or buying a pre-built system. But going with a pre-built PC as a gift is the fastest but most, I guess, costly route. Costly because there is an added premium to that system for that supplier. Let's say in this example that is iBuyPower, or there's multiple ones, there's multiple vendors, but in this instance, let's say this is iBuyPower. They now have to account for shipping the product, moving the product, any cost that they have associated with the build, say material and handling, all of that, they have to factor that in into the cost of that system. So you're going to pay slightly more. But all things aside, it is the quickest way to get your hands on a system. You could walk into a Best Buy if you are local enough or you have one near you. And in some instances, Best Buy will ship to you, but you can walk into a Best Buy and buy a pre-built, wrap it up, and it'll be good to go on the big day. Or you can order one from Amazon and have it shipped to you before the big day. We're going to walk through a few we're going to walk through a few pre-builds, a few options you have, but either way you go, it could be accessible. You don't have to wait for multiple parts coming in. You don't have to wait for you don't have to wait for the system integrator to build it, or any issues that may run that they may run into along the way, and then they have to account for that. But you don't have to worry about any of those things. You can just walk right into a Best Buy, right? And in some cases, if you're if you're a native in Delaware, you don't have to pay taxes. But you can walk right into a Best Buy, pick up a pre-built, and boom, you'll be good. Or have one shipped to you via Amazon. And at most, you may have to update Windows as soon as you get it, because maybe there was an update patched through while the system was in transport, or maybe it's been sitting a while and Windows issued out a update, or maybe there's new AMD drivers or NVIDIA drivers you may have to update. So at most, you'll have to connect your system to the internet and install a few updates. But when it comes to building a PC, there are additional steps you're going to have to take after you've completed those initial first two steps. That is preparing and actually acquiring your parts, the core components, especially the core components. But right now, what is the average cost of a pre-built? Well, from 2021 research, I can tell you right now that the average cost of a pre-built system right now, if you were wondering, well, Lab, excuse me, Mr. Professor Lab, excuse me, how much actually would it cost this said gift? First and foremost, if I wanted to get a gaming PC for a partner, friend, fam, spouse, loved one, what have you, it doesn't matter. If you have the spend, how much is it going to cost me? I want to take that route. Let's say I want to go into a Best Buy and be able to walk out with the system. I necessarily don't want to have to order parts, find somebody to build it. I don't have a lot of time. I actually waited to the last minute, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to dive into the cons of waiting to the last minute. There are some obvious ones, but believe it or not, when it comes to PC gaming and hardware, you need to act fast, or buy fast and act even faster when it comes to buying gaming PC parts or PC gaming parts. They sell fast, and a lot of times there are other people who have that same idea, right? We are not alone in this concept. Hopefully we just have a lot of like-minded individuals for this episode, but we are not alone across the globe with this mindset. But the average cost of a pre-built system right now with a dedicated GPU, which in a nutshell, if you know that that the recipient enjoys higher end games or higher quality games, then you're most likely going to want a system with a dedicated graphics card. If they're coming from a console, they'll benefit the most from this investment in their media consumption or in their gaming. They'll benefit the most with having a system initially with a GPU. If they're a first time user, or somebody who's along the lines of a younger, friend or fan, maybe you have a young child somewhere along my kids started using their PCs as young as 8 or 9. So you may have a child somewhere along that age range that is mature enough and you trust to be able to play, light games like Roblox and Minecraft on a PC. Then they likely wouldn't need a graphics card. So to buy a pre-built gaming PC without a GPU, say a system that has integrated graphics, either Radeon 8 or 11, or Vega 8 or 11, or Intel CPUs that have integrated graphics, right? Like the HD 630 and the HD 730. But those would cost you between $700 to $800. It's more along the lines of the ceiling. But if you wanted to go, say, into a Best Buy and buy a system with in between that price range, right? Like, would we say that an average cost of a pre-built PC between 12 and 2,000 plus with a dedicated graphics card? So those are the systems we're looking at. We're looking at pre-builts that have dedicated graphics cards. It's good to see you, Sparta Rules. Sparta Rules in the house. Sparta Rules gets the horn. Sparta Rules also a master, so Sparta Rules gets special recognition. Let me switch back here. Shout out to you, Sparta Rules 1993. It's good to see you for this late night live stream. Late night Inside the Lab live stream. I'm actually glad you're here because members will get the upcoming update for the members only live show. So we're kicking that off at the beginning of the new year, starting the first week in January, and masters will get a post over on the community tab. I'm also going to send it out to email subscribers, so do keep a lookout for that for more details and how the show format's going to kick off, and also like the name and the upcoming discussion that we're going to have, or some options that we will discuss in that episode. So it's good to see you, brother. Sparta Rules 1993. I know it, I mean, conventionally we normally don't have our streams this late, but it will be up for our replay viewers. But I appreciate you being here, family. Do hit the like button for me as we continue to discuss the question of pre-built PC or custom PC for a gift here in 2021. Share your thoughts, Sparta Rules 1993. What would you recommend? Let's say that you, the viewer, those of you who are here right now with us live, or those of you who are here on the replay, let's say you, the viewer, have been presented with that question. Like, what if someone is coming to you for that recommendation? What would you recommend? Would you recommend that they buy a pre-built gaming PC with their money, or that they build a system with their money, say with your guidance to help them along the way? It's admirable if if the presenter has the comfortability to actually build the system themselves. They can save on, or you could save on a lot of time. You can save a lot of time, and you can save a little bit of money. But most importantly, you know that system, or you know the ins and outs. I always recommend one familiarize themselves with the process, even if they don't plan on building the system themselves at the initial at its initial conception. So you may be nervous to build for a first, like if it's your first time, maybe you don't want to handle a lot of those components. You just want the system to work, but you also want more control of what's going on inside of that system. If you can build it yourself, or if that individual is coming to you for that recommendation, and you can recommend that they actually take the time and learn how to build it themselves, or they familiarize themselves with the process, it could at some point save them some time, either when they have to go to service their system, upgrade their system, swap out a part. I guess that's considered the same thing. But regardless, if you have your hands on it first, then you understand what needs to be replaced, and you have a better understanding of the ins and out, or what goes on in the platform. But if you wanted to, say, go the quick but costly route, and that's buying a pre-built, and you have, you want to spend about $1,200, $1,300 for this system, that is steep. That is a little on the high end, but we are considering the high end user here, someone who wants to take their experience to the next level. This is someone that, you want to help take their experience as a gamer to the next level, rather that be from console to an actual PC, or if they're on an older platform, say the AM3 socket, or an older 4th or 3rd generation i7 or i5, and you want to just maybe 4 or 5x their performance, keep this in your back pocket, because that could also possibly come in the form of a new monitor. But we're not talking about monitors as an individual gift for this live stream. We're going to actually try to squeeze that topic in here before the big day approaches, just in case if buying a system may not be an affordable option for one, versus, say, buying a monitor or upgrading that person's monitor. If you know what's inside of their system, or have a firm understanding on the performance output of that system, then buying a monitor could also be a gift that doubles as a system upgrade, or more so a setup upgrade. So if you were presented again with that question of, hey, I want to buy a PC for, my young, my son, he just graduated, or he just went to college, he may need something to do a little work, but I know he likes playing games. I want to spend about $1,000 or $1,200, 13 at the most, somewhere along the lines there, and they say, what would you recommend I do? Should I build a system, or should I just, go into a store and buy a pre-built? Like, which one would you recommend, and what should I look for? Well, of course, we always recommend that it starts with the individual needs and the type of games they want to play. But if you were to look for a pre-built system and you say went to a Best Buy and you had somewhere in between there, these are a little expensive, and this is based off of my area here and over in the tri-state. But for starters, you're looking at least 1,400. Now I said between 12 and 2K, and that might shy some people away. And prices could vary depending on your locality, with things like taxes and other local fees attached to it. But here in the U.S. and here in the tri-state area, this system with an RTX 2060 and an i7 11700F, that means it doesn't have integrated graphics, is a little over would be about $1,400. So you have to ask yourself, would that be worth it? When you say, well, I only have about 1,000 to 12, would it be cheaper to build one? Well, certainly you could not go with Amazon. You could go a different route, which I would always recommend where you can. Go with Amazon. Start with Amazon. You get Amazon could afford the savings more than, say, a Best Buy could. But let's jump over to Amazon to see what kind of pre-built could that budget actually net us. And for starters, we have a system with a 1650, which is much lower than that $1,399. Now, this certainly isn't a 2060, and you're missing out on some features, mostly ray tracing features. May be important to some, most likely important to none, especially given that ray tracing enabled on an RTX 2060 in most games wouldn't be all that playable or likely worth it. You would likely need to enable DLSS, that's deep learning super sampling, another quasi popular feature among RTX users. A lot of users don't use it, and some just totally don't understand how it works. But if you don't need those features, it's best to not invest in them. Save your money and put it elsewhere. Now, this is a little bit on the lower end side, but the lower end side with an i3. Not going to get much gaming done on an i3, but because it is the 10th generation i3, it does have hyper-threading, 4 cores and 8 threads. So it's essentially like a slightly slower 7700K, if you will, with less IPC, but likely won't be able to do much high-end gaming on this system. This is almost like a starter system again for somebody that's a little on the younger side and that plays games that aren't very demanding, games like Minecraft or games like Roblox, or maybe like Windows-based games or browser-based games, if you will. But if we look at higher-end cyber-powered PCs, this is a similar one to what we saw over on Best Buy. And it's about almost $400 less. And the biggest difference at glance is the fact that it has this has a SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive. But if you don't, you can always add that along down the road. And of course, it only has 8 gigabytes of DDR4. These are not complicated upgrades. This is essentially dropping compatible memory into the DIMM and adding another form of storage. This is 500 gigabyte NVMe SSD. Maybe you can add a 1 terabyte SSD down the road, and you would still be under $1,400 for those two upgrades. But this too has an RTX 2060, which is a GPU that, in my opinion, is a 1080p 60 FPS card in most games, and even has some potential at 1440p, maybe low settings. So if you wanted to, say, upgrade another angle or another part of your setup, does have an i5, but it's an 11th generation i5. So if it's not you, if it's somebody else, this system would have upgrade potential all the way up to either a 10900K. if you wanted to say take a step back but acquire more cores, 10 cores and 20 threads over the 11400, that's about 4 more cores and 8 more threads. If a workflow would require more cores, but if you required a little bit more performance for your games, then an i7 11700 or an i7 11900 would suit this system even, just as nice down the road in terms of an upgrade, but would be a little under, that price, but still within that medium of between $1,200 to $2,000 for a system with a dedicated graphics card. This case, an RTX 2060. Again, another pre-built one that if you say, well, no, I have 1300, or I'm okay with that additional, premium, I want to pay a little bit more. This Skytech Blaze PC, pre-built PC, and again, these are recommendations. You may find systems of similar configurations or of similar price points. These are just some factors you should take into consideration when you are shopping for a high-end gift like a pre-built PC, and especially given the silicone situation that continues to inflate GPU prices, both new and old. It hasn't improved, but we may do a pop-up live stream on that conversation. Let me switch back here really fast, as I saw some different articles that came about here recently about how some of the directors and CEOs of some of the foundries believe that the silicon situation, the shortage, should start to improve or get a little better. Let me see. We also have Clouds in the house. Cloud gets the air horn. All right. It's good to see you, Cloud. Let me get caught up in the chat here really, really quick. Spider Rule says NZXT or the Facebook Marketplace. Okay, I might have missed your... Let me scroll back up here. Cloud said, I am back every time with donation until you remember my username. And Cloud threw $1 on the table, so let me hit Cloud with the super chat rap. Now you got a super rap. Hey, one more time. Thanks for the super chat. Now you got a super rap. Right? Thanks for putting $1 on the table, Cloud. Sparta Rule says, again, NZXT or the Facebook Marketplace. Are you referring to Sparta Rules, and are you referring to shopping for like pre-built PCs, or just like shopping for savings over on the Facebook Marketplace? Do let us know. As I switch back here and we continue to highlight some of the pre-builds or some of the configurations you may come across when you are shopping with that budget of between $1,200 to $2,000. It's my recommendation on what you should expect when it comes to, buying a pre-built gaming PC. How much money would that run you? Like, how much could that cost you? This system here is one that I would especially recommend, and keep in mind of availability, as we're going to talk about that in an upcoming segment of this show. Definitely stick around for that. It's some new game that, I've laid down here for today's episode. You're definitely going to want to stick around for that, because our goal here on this channel, let me switch back here really fast, because our goal here on this channel is to convert as many users over to this platform as possible, help them make that transition a swift and affordable journey, right? Because as you will discover, especially after they've acquired their parts, designed their build, got it assembled, whether they done it themselves or they, gave some work to a system integrator. Okay. Once they give you that feedback, you'll be just like enamored in all yourself. You'll be blown away by how they have received, the system after it's assembled, especially if it's them using it. That is our goal here on this channel. So if you are presented with this question, you should be prepared with the necessary tools to make the proper recommendation on what to do. This is also not limited to just the December holiday season. This is also applicable if someone wanted to, if someone wanted to buy a system as a birthday gift or a celebration gift, maybe a graduation gift from high school, maybe from college, maybe from a trade school, any form of education, maybe a certificate of training, doesn't matter. You want to celebrate someone's accomplishment with something that they are really truly looking forward to or wanting to own. That could be a gaming PC. All of this bit of all of this bit of game that we're going to lay out in today's episode should arm you with the ammunition you need to help that individual make a conscionable decision, whether that be buying a pre-built or going with a custom system. Now, this iBuy Power Pro PC has a Ryzen 5 3600 and an RX 5500 XT and is under $1,000. It's good to note that because, as you will see, when it comes to building a system similar to this, like if you even with a dedicated graphics card, you will find that we will be over this price. For once, it will cost a little more to actually build the system versus, say, buying this system with an RX 5500 XT, a well-capable GPU for 1080p medium settings or high settings depending on the games like Fortnite, games like Apex Legends, games like Minecraft, even higher end games. You may have to turn the graphic settings down in them, but even higher end games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider or Cyberpunk 2077, Battlefield 2042, dare I say it, and the upcoming God of War PC specs, which I see was just released. If we have time, I'll bring it up during the show, but maybe we'll save that for a conversation for the upcoming pop-up live stream. But this iBuy Power Pro gaming PC is a really good starter system for someone either along the lines of a young adult or a young student or a young friend or fam, and it's under $1,000. It even says that it arrives before the big day and there's only one left in stock. So if that was you and you said, well, yeah, Lab, I would, if you're saying it's a good system, it only has 8 GB of DDR4 and not a lot of storage. But I mean, you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 games installed there at a time. So this is especially good for someone who doesn't play a lot of games. They play light-based games, not games that are as graphically demanding. And even still, this system has upgrade potential, especially with that Ryzen 5 3600 on the AM4 socket. Rather that's a an A series motherboard or an X series motherboard or a B series motherboard, it's still on the AM4 socket. So long as there is a BIOS release for the motherboard, and any system integrator or someone you work with to perform this task for you would and should know and research that before servicing your system. But if it's you yourself, you want to research the BIOS updates for that motherboard to see what compatible CPUs. But I could tell you in most instances, you would be able to upgrade to at least a Zen 3 CPU, something along the lines of a 5600X or even a 5800X. Add more storage, and of course you can add more DDR4, but this system base right now at $895 is a good starter system to just sit down, plug and play for someone who's a little on the younger side and they don't really play a lot of games. Like maybe they just play Roblox games, or maybe they just want to play Minecraft on the PC, or they want to play Fortnite on the PC. It's also a good 1080p system, so it would work with most 1080p monitors, 60 or 75 hertz, as you could toggle some of the settings for a higher FPS output. Now, this system in particular, I wanted to highlight as it has no GPU. It just has the Radeon Vega 8 graphics with its Ryzen 3. And it comes in at just under 700 USD with, again, that's right around our average cost of a pre-built without a dedicated GPU. It could be somewhere between $700 to $800. It really depends on the CPU and the integrated graphics that's on board, and of course other factors, for example storage and DDR4. But this system does have 16 gigabytes, and that's good as well. Let me switch back here so you can see it. But this system does have 16 gigabytes of DDR4, and that's good because integrated, or especially with the Vega 8 graphics lineup of APUs. But systems that have integrated graphics, they actually share their VRAM with system RAM. So having at least 16 gigabytes will ensure that your games should run smooth, especially at 720p, and you would be able to at least turn the settings up just a little bit higher, as the system would have more RAM allocation to handle all the textures and any other materials and assets that need to be called from system memory. Also has a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, so it should take advantage of those fast read and write speeds. This system overall could also double as a system that one could study on or do virtual learning, very light content creation, or even down the line use as a dedicated dual system streaming system where you could play your games on one system and then have it be encoded and streamed on an entirely different system, one that's not as doesn't require it to have high-end hardware. So I mean, it's a great starter system, again, especially for someone along the lines that is a little younger and maybe they don't spend as much time on the PC. Maybe you still want them outdoors and doing things of that nature, which is still very much it's still very much an important activity. But as a starter system at just under $700, this too would make for a really ideal gift if you wanted to go with a pre-built system and you didn't want to break that $1,000 mark. You wanted to kind of stay well below that. Maybe that individual does need a dedicated graphics card. They don't really play high-end games, and you can save that money and put it elsewhere, say in a decent 1080p monitor or other peripherals like gaming headset, mechanical keyboard or wireless keyboard, a broadband solution, a faster router perhaps. So if they don't need those things, if you don't want to spend, say, $1,300 on a pre-built PC, and they spend less than 20 hours a week gaming on it, and they play games like Roblox and Minecraft, it's okay. It's just horrible value for your money, considering what the system would be able to do and how much you could have saved if you actually bought a system that didn't have high-end hardware. You know how we talk about not needing high-end hardware and avoid, ponying up the extra money for it, especially if you don't need it. So just keep in mind that it really starts with the expectations of said user, and of course, how much you have to spend. Is it under 1,000? Without it, that you're somewhere along the lines of a system without a dedicated graphics card, or a system that has at least a GTX 1650, maybe a GT 1030. But if you're looking at a system with a dedicated graphics card, then yeah, you're over that 1,000 mark. You're going to at least start, and even this system here by Cyber Power, I almost said Sour Power. Sour Power. I almost said Sour Power. But this Cyber Power PC here at just a little over $1,000 with its i5-11400 and an RTX 2060 is an even better system for a user who wants a bit more performance and who may want to run their games at a higher quality or play higher demanding games, and even do other things like have music play in the background, record their gameplay, upload their gameplay to YouTube, maybe do some light edits to it, add some music, and export it in a higher quality. This system could present that user with all of those options. And again, this is for if you want to push the boundaries and break over that $1,000 mark and get a system that is a little bit on the higher end side. But this system, again, would have upgrade potential down the road. It's something if you're a first time watcher or a first time viewer, replay viewer, live viewer, it's something we talk about a lot, and that's having the potential to upgrade your hardware. You should have a modest upgrade path to at least be able to take another half of what you spent for your system, but 2 times the performance output. So that's maybe saying investing another $400 to $500 in this system about 4 or 5 months down the road or maybe even sooner, to get even more performance out of it. If that's 1080p and you play games at a higher refresh rate, maybe you want to invest in an i7 and a faster kit of DDR4, or maybe you want more RAM because you also started streaming on your system. Your graphics card would likely be okay in that regard, but you would definitely have some room to upgrade your CPU and add more DDR4 storage, of course, too. But this system at 1K is one you could recommend if you would say, well, right now, because of the GPU situation and how graphics cards are all still very much expensive, you could get your system a little quicker if you just go with the pre-built. How much do you have? Well, I have about $1,100 to $1,200. I don't really want to spend no more than that. Oh, okay. Well, you could get this system's in stock. It has a dedicated graphics card. We could not build this system, y'all. Most of you who are here watching, who have dipped in and out, or you're here watching now, or our replay, or seasoned replay viewers, you know it is challenging to build a system of this caliber with the current GPU situation. Again, it's not that PC gaming is expensive. It's always been expensive, contrary to the alternative that is playing on a console. But this one component here has seriously skewed the overall cost of building a system. And this is the issue with trying to build a system of this caliber with this graphics card in particular, because the RTX 2060 selling right now even still over between $400 to $500 USD. And I've said this before, I've said it in previous live streams, your graphics card will most likely account for more than 50% of the total cost of your build. But CyberPower has the affordability to sell it at a slightly lower price because they bought most of these components in stock, especially the CPU and the motherboard. They've also saved money. They could have potentially saved money on the PSU. It's not, listed here, or you would maybe have to do a little bit more research, but they've likely saved money in other areas to account for the cost of a dedicated graphics card right now. But adding a 16 gigabyte faster kit of DDR4 might run you about $80, and an i7 11700K somewhere between 3 to 350. So that's again taking about half of the cost of this build and adding components that could potentially 2x performance. Faster RAM. Zesty, what's happening, Zesty? Sefty gets the air horn. Shift to 76. It's good to see you. Shift to 76 gets the air horn. What's happening, Shifted? Let me switch back here. I may or may not have the opportunity of fellowshipping with some of you. Some of your names are a little new. I know we've gotten a lot of recent subscribers, so shout out to y'all. Let me give y'all a quick hand clap for all recent subscribers and everybody who's joined the community. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. You all get a round of applause. And Shifter says hello to everyone, or evening, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Tell me, it's evening here where I'm watching. Of course, I'm over on the East Coast, and that is Eastern Standard Time. It's a little late, and typically our live shows aren't this late. They're typically a little bit earlier in the day. So we're still experimenting with the time though, but I'm trying to keep them consistently on Saturday, and we will at least try to narrow a time slot that's also consistent with the days of the week. Here it's looking like that's somewhere in between 4 to 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's typically when the show runs, but had to push it back a little bit today. Was working on some domestic things, looking at getting another vehicle. So interesting stuff there. Zesty says, yo, what's up, Zesty? I know we've seen you, Z. It's good to see you, Z. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, it's good to see everybody here. We're discussing, the gift of PC gaming, and should that be a pre-built PC, or buying a dedicated, or buying your system and buying your parts and building it yourself, or a custom system. That could be you. You could be the individual right now here in our audience and could be saying, well, yeah, I'm young enough, I may have asked my parents to buy this system, or you're a young adult and, you might have saved up a little bit of money, and, family members is giving you cash as a gift this year, or maybe you told them what it is you want. We're going to talk about that part of this whole entire process coming up here in the next couple segments of this live show. So I do welcome you to make sure you stick around for that. Hit the like button for me if you haven't yet, and hopefully I'll earn your subscription if I haven't yet as well. Hopefully I'll have earned your subscription here to the channel. But again, that is what we are discussing. For those of you who just came into it, we were looking at different pre-builds and discussing the price. The average cost of a pre-built with a dedicated GPU, a graphics card, is about $1,200 to $2,000 USD. As that is some of the ones we were looking at, in particular this CyberPower pre-built gaming PC that ironically says, hey, it arrives before the big day. You can get it before, and it's in stock. So if that was you and that person, I had asked the audience a question earlier. I said, you could have an individual come to you looking for this recommendation. If you are here with us right now, you either have your system working on getting your system, or you're working on getting your system, but you enjoy this platform. You enjoy playing your games and what we call, or experiencing your games and what we call the highest level possible. This is the pinnacle of PC gaming. That is playing games on a PC, right? It sounds a little bit redundant, but it is the highest possible way, the best way to experience video games. And if somebody who you are close to is well aware of that, they may come to you looking for that recommendation. They may come to you and say, hey, X, Zesty, or, Shifta, 76, Cloud, Sparta Rules, Mrs. Mod. They may come to you and say, hey, I want to buy my son or my daughter or my child a PC. They've been telling me they want to play games on a PC. They've been telling me all their friends play games on a PC, or they're tired of playing on a console. I want to invest in this. It's expensive. This is all they're going to get. I have about $1,000 to $1,200, but I can't spend that much money. What do you recommend I do? Should I buy a pre-built PC, or should I just have one built for me? Or maybe you can help me build it and I could save time and just a little bit of money doing it myself. Which direction would you position them, right? That is what we are discussing in this live stream. Right now we are highlighting what you could call the pros of pointing them along the way of buying a pre-built gaming PC, right? Earlier in the show, we said how this path or this direction is quick but costly. It's going to cost you a little bit more, not so much in dollars, but in terms of what you're going to get underneath of the hood. It's going to cost you in performance. For example, the system that you could build, as we're going to transition here over into building a system, is going to be very close to this price, but with slightly better features. Not a graphics card, because again, it's challenging to build a system with this card, or even a card of this caliber, and still have it come out under $1,000. That's a little challenger right now. You could do it, but you're likely going to pay about $200 to $300 more buying that graphics card at an individual cost. Now, you could go to a Micro Center. We talk about Micro Center a lot here, and I don't talk about Micro Center as much because until Micro Center is ready to start, contributing to the brand, let me say, then I will talk about them a little bit more. But if you are able to go to a Micro Center, you could rack up some serious savings, fam. Okay? Micro Center doesn't ship, so they're able to reduce their prices a little more to get feet or to get boots in the store. They rely on these higher end components to pull you in. If you ever been into a Micro Center, y'all know, y'all testify. If you ever been into a Micro Center, then you know that you're walking by a lot of different parts and components and goodies and treats before you get to the components you're really looking for. I'm gonna tell you how the Micro Center is designed, or the layout of my Micro Center. Let me say my Micro. Again, I ain't gonna talk about them too much because they haven't contributed to the show and for me to talk about them a great deal. But my Micro Center, the GPUs, the CPU, your SD RAM, your cooling components, your power supply units, your cases, all of that stuff is toward the back of the store. Guess what you walk past, though, on your way there? Monitors, keyboards, gaming pads, headphones, mouse pads, drones, more monitors, laptops, cases, not cases, but other like small parts. You come across all of these different parts. Before Cliff is in the house, it's good to see you, WASD. Cliff Cliff comes with the super sticker. Cliff gets the super
Thanks
sticker
for the
wrap.
support, fam. Super sticker from the super fans.
One more time. What? Thanks for
the
the support, fam. Super sticker from the super fans. Hey. Right, it's good to see you, Cliff. WASD moves, man. I missed everybody. I'm telling you, I put this on the community tab. I mentioned it earlier in the show, but I put it on the community tab. I said, I miss y'all 3,000. We almost had 3,000 subscribers. That was by coincidence, but I said, I miss y'all 3,000. But I was a little stuffy. Your boy Lab was stuffy, and I don't like being congested and sounding all different on the mic. It's not what you all deserve. Y'all deserve a video, an audio and pleasant video experience, and I can't do that sick, y'all. I can't do that. But thanks for the super sticker one more again.
Thanks for the support, fam.
Super sticker from the super fans, right? It's good to see Cliff. Cliff is also a channel member, so shout out to our channel members. I know Sparta Rules 1993 is or was here, still should be here. And WASD Moves, shout out to y'all for being channel members. We have the upcoming Masters show, and you've heard it here first, but it's essentially called the Inside the Lab Live XT. We have the Live XP or the Live Experience. That's what you all tune in for here every Saturday. The Live XT is going to be the members live show, the show made by members and for members, where they're going to come up here on screen. It's going to be in a totally different format, but masters are going to come up here on screen and participate in a pre-designated conversation that again revolves around PC gaming, but the angle or the I guess the core mission for that show is to put your pain points as viewers and as users here on the front center, because what separates me and you only is that I create content, but I use my system and I use, and I enjoy this hobby just as much as many of you, and we all have different hardware configurations, and we even all enjoy it on different levels, and that to me is what makes this community special, what makes most gaming PC communities strong, ones that are curated properly, one without judge or without malice, where all levels of budget and builds are welcome, because at the end of the day, I and we just want you to experience the highest level of PC gaming, rather that's 720p low settings or 1080p low settings, 1080p high settings, 1440p high settings. You might be like Cliff, shout out to Cliff. Cliff actually just picked up the 12900K. Ooh, 16 cores, 24 threads, Alder Lake 12th generation. Man, I'm stuck in limbo again here because of the upcoming AMD reports, and with CES right around the quarter, and a lot of the other big expos coming up, but the 16 core 24 thread 12900K, man, it's a glorious CPU. And like I told Cliff, he's gonna have to share the stories, and maybe Cliff, if you're not signed up for a masters by the time the show airs, then we'll have to bring you up on screen so you can tell us about it, and just give us some haptic feedback, if you will. And Shift to 76 says Microsoft is bae. Yes, it is, man. Microsoft is I mean, we talk again. Come on, Microsoft. I mean, Micro Center. Come on, Micro Center. Where are you at, Micro Center? I go there, and the one time, should tell you, I spent probably an hour in cases, an hour in power supply units, even more in like monitors, because they have systems already built that you can experience what the monitor has to offer. If it's like an ultra wide monitor, then it has a higher end GPU to push the pixels at a higher quality, say like 1440p ultra, or a higher refresh rate, say 1440p 144 hertz. They have systems pre-built, for lack of better words. They have systems pre-built for you to experience these things. I probably spent another hour. We spent a half of an 8-hour working shift in the Micro Center, and I still spent about $1,300 at that, in that day. And it was just Micro Center is bae. Man, I would one of these days, I promise you, we're going to do a mobile field trip, one of the live experience episodes. I have a conceptual idea where we're going to go on a field trip. I'm going to go live mobile, and I'm going to, document the journey there and how long it takes and what it looks like and all of that jazz. I think I may also have to get permission to record in the Micro Center that I go to. And of course, make sure I don't want to run into any copyright restrictions and what have you. But I'm still working on that part, but we're going to go on a field trip here, and we're going to go. I'm going to show you my Micro Center But Micro Center is bay shift to 76. I totally agree with you. Cliff says, hype. Don't get me started on the case section. I could pitch a tent there, bruh. I could, don't sell me the tent, man. I'm moving in. Okay? Nah, I'm not. I'm moving in the case section. Me and Cliff, and that could be a lot of you, but let me know if you're here on the chat and you're able to tell me, or in a replay, what component intrigues you the most, even if you're just window shopping for it in Micro Center or you're online. Is that cases? For me, it's cases, and believe it or not, motherboards. It would be like cases, motherboards, and then coolers, because coolers have so many different features and factors you would want in a cooler, and excuse me, finding the right one is just really fun to me, and just the different options. Of course, I love going water, but water's not for everybody. And Mrs. Ma said, and yes, we went to Old Navy that day. Yes, we did. We spent money in Old Navy too. Cliff says, I threatened so hard to buy a new case, I just couldn't find the right one. I mean, it's almost kind of like you never find the right one. You find the right one for the moment, but then you always find a better one the next day. That's how it is for me. Like, I look at a case, I fall in love with one case, and I'm like, nope, this is the case. That's how it was for me when I got the Cooler Master H500M, the mesh. That's the case that's used in the Threadripper series. It's a little dated, and that system is being broken down. We working on an upcoming project for Core Shredder 3.0. Core Shredder 3.0 gets the horn, because working on an upcoming project for Core Shredder 3.0. Taking a different angle, but still kind of working that used market once more for a system that delivers high cores and strong IPC. That's the goal there with Core Shredder. But that case, I thought that would be the case. I told Mrs. Mod, this is the case I want. I would never want another case again. And that case was not. That case cost over $200 at the time. I bought it from Micro Center. I bought that case at the same time I bought the case that's used for Snow White. Snow White is my editing rig, essentially my go-to rig, the one I do most of my work on. I bought both those cases at the same time. In that case is the 570 RX or RX 570, crystal white, and I thought I would never want another case, and then more cases start to trickle out. Corsair dropped new cases, and Lee dropped new cases, and I was just like, well, I want that case. Well, I would love to do a build. And I just really think that, getting case, it just never stops. The want never stops, at least for me. And Cliff says, I went with new drivers instead. I threatened so hard to buy a new case, I just couldn't find the right one. I went with new drivers instead. You just updated your GPU drivers instead of getting a case? I hope I understood that right. But yes, we did go to Old Navy, and Cliff says all is right in the universe. If we don't go to Old Navy, then it's kind of like I better went with we better not pass it going back. And that's okay. You went with new hard drives instead of a new case. Gotcha. Okay. I mean, if you go into a Micro Center, you're destined to walk out with something. It could be something you needed or something you didn't need. Maybe it's an NVMe SSD, because they will have some items in there on sale, and they may even have some open items on shelf for clearance that has just been returned, and they can't sell it new, so they have to sell it right as a clearance item, and you can save even more money there and just be missing out on, say, manufacturing, boxing, and a few other things. But so long as it's clean and it's working, Micro Center will offer a 60-day warranty as well, unless it's changed. But last time I browsed there, it was about a 60-day warranty on open shelf items. Open shelf. You all know what I mean. But we were talking about pre-builts, as we had a few new friends bounce in, bounce out. Either way, if you just do me a favor, if you can, hit that like button for me so this replay can reach as many viewers even after it's been published. We put a lot of work into producing the show. I appreciate our channel members once again for funding the mission and the message on a recurring basis. If you haven't yet, consider signing up to be a channel member. You can find all of the links down in the description box below, in aka the basement, along with some of these pre-builts that we went over today. But we were talking about the average cost of a pre-built being between $1,200 to $2,000 with a GPU, and about $700 to $800 plus without a GPU. We did walk through a few pre-built PCs that are in stock and available right now. If you were presented with that question by an individual saying, I want to buy a PC as a gift, I got about $1,100 to $1,200, that's my ceiling. Should I buy a system, or should I have one built for me? Could you help me build it for me? Or could you put me along along the path of where to get started? What would you recommend? Well, if that's a pre-built, some of these here that are on Amazon, because we talked about how you can, that's one of the pros, they're quick. It's a quick way to get your system presented and ready for the big day. You can walk into a Best Buy. If you're near one, you can walk into a Best Buy, pick up an iBuyPower PC or CyberPower PC, pre-built PC. It's going to cost you a little bit more. Or the ever so accessible Amazon, you can order one from there and also have it arrive to you before the big day. Ones like this CyberPower PC with an RTX 2060, starter systems without a dedicated graphics card like this one here that falls just at that $700 mark, doesn't have a GPU, but it'd be a great system for somebody along the lines, maybe not quite yet in the double digits in terms of age. You want to get them started out on something light. They play games like Roblox or Minecraft. They can even still very much play games like Fortnite on this system. They would just have to turn down the resolution. It's about 720, or if it's 1080p, then it'd have to be low settings, absolutely low settings across the board. But you could also, flex that down to 1,000, pick up a system that's falls a little bit along between both, maybe a system that's also for work or academics and study, but that could also do some gaming on the side. This system here, although this concerns me here a little bit in the i3, not as ideal for a gaming system. And it's like, if you had that extra $110, it's better to go with a system that has a slightly beefier graphics card, a better CPU, only 8 gigabytes of DDR4. But again, this is a rather simple and easy upgrade and install here, adding either a faster kit or a matching stick of RAM, which, depending on the manufacturer or where CyberPower got it from, could be tricky. You could be in your best interest to just pay $60 or $70 for a Corsair LPX 16 gigabyte kit of 3200 megahertz memory and drop it in there. You'd be good to go. And you would still, and that wouldn't have to be at the now. Most games, although this is an awkward combination here in RTX 2060 and 8 gigabytes of DDR4, it's an upgrade that I would almost recommend initially, probably within the first 30 to 60 days of actually owning and having a system. Colin Westford, is good to see you. And Cliff says 12600 and new B660 is going to be a budget banger. I was looking at i7 12700. It was like 80% over 8700. It was bonkers. 12300 is supposed to be out with the budget B660 and H series board. Yeah, and an article came across my feed about the lock CPU, 12th generation lock CPUs, as because the i3 was missing at the initial launch. And the B series and H series boards could be, like you said, bangers, especially if you're looking for that new price to performance and you want to take advantage of a newer chipset, a newer platform. I mean, Intel's actually rocking the mic with 12th gen. I mean, the ball's in their court. AMD is primed to respond. We'll see what configuration they go with. It's exciting times. It's exciting times to be an enthusiast, to be a PC tech enthusiast. It really is. Sparta Rule says you should show NZXT site. They got some good stuff right now. Yes, and I'm pretty sure Brother Anthony is referring to NZXT's BLD service. Now, here's the thing. NZXT's BLD service is a great way, a fantastic way to build a custom pre-built PC where you could choose. You're limited, obviously, to mostly NZXT components like their coolers, their AIOs, their cases, and in some cases even their motherboard. But it's a great way to build a custom pre-built system to actually control the components that go inside. Now, I've been wanting to walk through walk through that process and how it could benefit an individual. But there are some business technicalities involved with doing that, and I am nearing where I'm going to reach out to more more brands like NZXT and see if they would want to do a sponsored video where I dive deeper into their whole entire process and how you could actually go with NZXT's BLD service. Now, that information, of course, is available to anybody here listening or watching, or for replay and live, and that's certainly an option you can go with. Research it, look into it. It's called NZXT's BLD service. To get it to actually take precedence here, though, on the Inside the Lab live experience, NZXT is going to have to run sponsored content, as YouTube would likely even want me to check that off as being an endorsed live stream, even if an endorsed show, even if I was getting compensated for it or not. But to highlight their service, there is some business hurdles to get over. But I do want to walk through that process here live. But not only that, but maybe even have NCXT send the parts for that system, or send me the system that we actually configure and I test it out. So that's why, to do that show proper, there's some other steps and measures that I have to check off to do it here live with everybody. But if you're like, what are you talking about? NZXT's BLD service, it's a service where NZXT, you can pick the components you want in your system. You have different payment options and different components you can pick from, and they will essentially walk you through the process. They'll even give you, to provide you with questions about the type of games you play and the different type of, the FPS limiters and the maximum FPS output you can expect within that configuration, prices, availability, all that good jazz. It's over there. It's called NZXT's BLD service. Hopefully here in the upcoming new year, we'd be able to not only walk everybody through that process here live, but also be able to test said system that we actually configure to validate the BLD service, and highlight how how it could be beneficial to first-time builders, or users who may want to upgrade their hardware and they may not know how to do it themselves, or they want to take a custom pre-built route and they want to go with NZXT's BLD service. They could also sell their older components to recoup some of that cost. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to reach out to NZXT, but it just in due time. There's just steps, though. There's steps there. And Cliff says, help you build it. They send a book and videos, etc. NZXT has that new deal where they send you the parts in a walkthrough format. Nice. Okay. That's not a bit. That's actually pretty cool. Different, but it's so long. Whatever makes the experience easier for the user. That's what I'm all about. So kudos to NZXT doing that. Again, to help make that transition and to help the building process as easy as possible. You will likely run into some issues, and the videos will probably be able to only offer so much pacing. I still would recommend one, even if they went with NZXT's BLD service, I would still recommend one, still educate themselves with the process. Watch, videos right here on Inside the Lab, PC Tech, or with Tech. Watch videos right here on this channel, or there's an abundance of tech creators. They may not all have my swag, but there are abundance of them out there. And there are a lot of helpful videos, tutorials, walkthroughs. The way I position the process, I like to make it fun and in a story-like format. But pretty soon here, I will too offer a masterclass for building a PC that would be available in just one whole package for a first-time builder. And I would recommend one still educate themselves before they even get their parts. Know the how matching the triangle up with the CPU, or that's on the CPU, with the triangle on the motherboard socket, to ensure you don't bend any pins, or you don't bend the any pins on the socket or any pins on the CPU. Check to make sure you have the right GPU and CPU configuration to power the type of games that you want to play and the way you want to experience them. That's one of the most important steps to check off when even getting started, before getting any of that aforementioned material, let's say from NZXT. Still educate yourself with what goes on and what goes down into building a PC. That way, when you get your components, let's say from NCXT, when you get your components from them or you order them from Amazon. Here recently, I had we have a Google Doc for individuals who are kind of kicking the tires to building a PC. It has a few questions, and we list out parts on Amazon. And here for a client recently, I listed a part out for them with the system that had parts that were available right now, and only came to about $1,200 USD and a little over $1,300 factored in the build cost and other fees. But still very much possible. Very much possible. Cliff says, swag on the mic. That's right. Rhyme so tight. Live stream tonight. Lab on the mic. No freestyles, no freestyles. And Cliff says, you got this, Mrs. Lab. I know you got this at Mrs. Lab. I know some rubbed off on you now. You got it. Yeah, and Mrs. Myers says, I would still need and love the assistance of Lab. Oh, building the system. Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about it. I talked about it on other live shows, but the video where we built the Wonder Rig, her system that she uses now, she essentially did most of the legwork in that. Like, I did the gentle parts, installing the CPU, the graphics card, and what have you. But the cooler and cable management, the power supply, connecting, she did all that. And, with practice, of course, comes experience. And the more you do it, the more proficient you come at it. But there's things you're still going to forget. Hopefully they're just not, mistakes that could break the birth of that system or the actual conceptualization of that system, but you're going to forget things along the way. It hasn't happened to me as much or often, but putting that the back panel on before, installing your motherboard, or forgetting to install the CPU cable, or maybe you have the input output pins installed wrong and you have a miniature anxiety attack because you go to hit power. If you build it yourself, you go to hit power and nothing happens. You think you might have shorted something out along the way, or something's broke, or it's not working. But if the system won't turn on, then, like, once you go hit this, flick the switch up to I, which stands for power in, and nothing lights up at all, then it could be something with your connections, with connecting to your power supply unit. Or if you power the system to the I and lights turn on and you go to hit the button and nothing happens, then it could be something with your input output. But regardless, you still very much find yourself making mistakes along the way, no matter how many times you did it, 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times. But the more you do it, though, the more proficient you come at it. I will say, when you're building and and producing at the same time, like what I do, like working on the production of the actual video, there's a totally different angle involved in it. I will say, it feels like the process is so much longer. I find myself finishing builds when I'm not always making videos, and that's usually always the case. The more significant, the more I try. But if it's like hey, I need this, and can you get it back to me, or I really don't want a video done on it, then I just try to be in and out with it. But all right, little mini rant over. Let's get back to the conversation at hand. Before we have more people leave out on the show. But again, if you just hit that like button for me on your way out. We were talking about the average cost of a pre-built. Now, in some instances, you would say, well, if not a pre-built, when and actually why not a console, right? Like, when or why not a console? If you say, Lab, well, I can get a pre-built PC, or they have a PS4 or an Xbox One. They've been complaining about it. It's getting old. The graphics, the games look potato. It's like real potato quality. Playing games like Cyberpunk 2077. It just as an initial what's the word I'm looking for? What's the example? Yikes. Serious, man. I need to add that womp, womp, womp sound effect. But as an example, maybe they're coming from a PS4 or an Xbox One or Xbox One S. Well, this depends on two factors. If you would say, why not a console? This depends on two factors: the type of games and the user type of said individual. Casual or competitive, custom, or are they a little bit along the lines of quality? What is it that they favor? Do they more so favor playing games casually, like they just want to sit down, play Call of Duty Warzone for maybe 5-8 hours a week or a couple hours a day? Or do they enjoy story driven games where they can sit down on a game and play for hours at a time, 40, 50 hours a week? Or are they a little more along the lines of a competitive player? Maybe they have competitive aspirations to compete in games like Rainbow Six Siege or CSGO. You would likely not be in the console, or we would not point you in the direction of a console. If you're a little on the casual side, then perhaps. But if that individual, say, would want a little bit more quality, you're still in the either buying a pre-built PC at that cost, that average cost of about 1,200 to 2,000 USD, or one without a dedicated graphics card at about 700 to 800 USD. But the problem here is that, or I guess the biggest issue here is that if you can find an Xbox SX or a PS5, either version, at retail, that's key, like at retail, then it could be a quick and most cost effective system upgrade coming from a PS4 or an Xbox One. Not so much, say, a PC on an older platform, because there could still be other changes you could make to that system to enhance it to still be of better quality than either one of those consoles, and still wouldn't cost what they're running now, because both the PS5 and the Xbox Series SX, I say both, but both of them are hard to find. Like, you still can't go into a retailer and just buy a PS5. Matter of fact, before the live stream, I actually looked and tried to search to try to actually find a PS5, and they're all still sold out, brand new. So that's why I said, if you can find one at MSRP, like if you're lucky to pick up a PS5 at retail, 400, 500 USD, then it is a cost-effective upgrade. One that could just sit down, play some games. You won't be able to play Microsoft exclusives, but you'd be able to play high-end games at a higher quality, have support for 1440p, other features as they roll out to the PS5 and Xbox SX. But the problem is they're still selling for about 60 to 70% above their MSRP. Yes, above their MSRP. If we went over to eBay, we're not even going to do it, but if you went over to eBay, about one of the only other larger online sites you can find them at, they're selling for about $1,100 to $1,200. In some cases, a little less if it's from a private individual. But if it's from one of those companies who just taking advantage of the console shortage and the overall silicon shortage, then you're seeing these consoles being sold at an inflated price or inflated cost of about 60 to 70%. So this is why a console isn't necessarily an approach we would want to guide that individual on, rather they ask for it or not. Again, the purpose of this live show, episode 53, episode 53, we're rocking and rolling here in season 2, but we're focusing on pre-built PC or a custom system, or building a custom system. But if they said, well, or should I just buy a console? I heard that, I saw that they only sell for $500. You would have to educate them. Ignorance is bliss. You would have to educate them and let them know that it's just not a viable option either, simply because where you would have to go to get said console would just be, you're going to have to buy it at an astronomical price, and it just wouldn't be worth it at that point. And it's sad because we're already more than a year since the PS5 and the Xbox Series XX released, and they're still not really available. Now, the Xbox Series S, which I also did see on Amazon, is available, which isn't a bad console for $299, especially if this was a individual who just plays casual. Remember, if there's why not a console? The question is why not a console? It depends on two factors: the user type and the type of games they play. Or are they casual? Are they competitive? Are they quality? Or are they more so like or are they custom? Or are they quality? Or are they more so about accessibility? $300 console versus say building $8,000 PC, this could be a better solution or route for an individual buying not a Series X, the console everybody essentially wants, but as you can see, it's sold out and most likely will be like this for the foreseeable future and even headed over into the new year. Earlier in the show, I said that we're going to do a pop-up live stream to talk about some of the most recent developments I've come across with the current silicon situation that's rolled out from the foundry directors themselves and the bigwigs. So we're going to talk about that in a pop-up live stream. So again, if you haven't just subscribed for that, man, subscribe for the vibe, subscribe for the message. If you're a first-time viewer, replay viewer, live viewer, hit the like and subscribe. But the PS5 and Xbox Series X, they're both selling for crazy prices, and that's why I would say, why not a console? For that reason, because they're still hard to find. They're still hard to find, and because I know you all love it, I'm gonna bring it up over here on eBay really fast to kind of demonstrate and show that they're still selling for well above their MSRP. This one here is 900, 1049, 1049. It's like, should you build a PC or buy a $900 PS5? What would you? I would point them again along the direction of building a $1,000 PC or even buying the CyberPower PC for about the same price, give or take. Okay, about the same price, give or take, depending on where you're buying it from. Buying the CyberPower PC with an RTX 2060 with a dedicated video card. You have more flexibility and other options. We're not going to get too much into it. We've talked about it before. The pros and cons versus having a PC or playing on a console. Okay, you're not limited to a custom box, but that's why we would say no, the console, either one, isn't a viable option right now. You still would want to either build the system yourself or have it built for you, use a system integrator. NZXT would be considered a system integrator, a rather big one, but you have folks like myself. I run a small business doing it. Cliff is a system integrator. You yourself might have built systems and charged people. You are a system integrator, okay? And NZXT being a rather big one, you could go that route as well to have the legwork done for you, say, versus spending that money for a console. Consoles still have yet to adjust and catch up with the CPU or the silicon shortage. I mean, now it's not just CPUs. At one point they were affected, but now they're not nowhere near as affected before. It's still very much GPU silicon. With they are available, but they are still very much being sold at a high price because they are not enough to meet the demand. There's not enough supply to meet demand. So, of course, law of the playground says you increase prices when that happens. So that's why you shouldn't, and we wouldn't want to point them in the direction of a console. But if and when there is a sighting, act quick and buy fast if you can. Like, if buying a console is something a direction you wanted to go, if you in a Target or any larger retailer, B&H, okay, and you see one and like, hey, we got one left over on the shelf, we got one Xbox Series X, $500, do you want it? Say, you know what, that might actually be a worthy upgrade. As in, at least on an Xbox, that individual will be able to play Xbox exclusive games. You won't be able to play PS4 exclusive games, but hey, the good ones are over on PC. So this is why I would still say point them along the direction of a PC, especially with God of War coming. We're going to talk about the God of War PC requirements in a separate pop-up live stream. I keep saying that you know what that means, y'all. That means a pop-up live stream is coming. Okay, but again, if you see one and it's available, act quick, buy fast. But if you're going to say, build a PC, which is what I was just recommending, then, if you're going custom, then you're going to want to act even faster. Order your core components when you can and when they are available, not like in small pieces. In fact, what I recommend my clients do, if they're not buying them all at once, start with the most expensive components first. That way you're not buying the lower end cost stuff, and you run out of capital, you run out of money, and you don't have enough to get the rest of your system, and then you just have a bunch of parts sitting there collecting dust. But if you get the most expensive components first, chances are you're able to avoid that pitfall. But building a PC now will cost you more money, but will afford you more control of the cost and what goes inside. The biggest win here with building a PC is choice. Unfortunately, graphics cards, though, again, we were just talking about this. We're not going to stay on that conversation. We've dealt with it now for what feels like forever. We just shown that the consoles, the PS5 released about a year ago, RTX 30 series and RX 6000 series released about a year ago, and while they are available largely in part, they're not available at retail or at MSRP. And 6 months ago, they were all goose eggs all over the site, like everywhere. You had to likely buy them from scalpers or buy them at an inflated cost. Cause it says, why not a laptop? Y'all be hating on my laptop, homies. Don't lie. Now we gotta give a special round of applause for our laptop users. Let me switch back here. Now we gotta give a special round of applause for our laptop users, because laptop users have different factors that desktop users don't have to worry about. Power and heat being one of them, and they have to find a way to balance that so that it doesn't hinder. I just realized, I'm sorry, I had a squirrel moment. I just realized my man was knocked over. All right. Obi-Wan. But laptop users, again, they have power and heat they have to balance out and make sure that they are accounting for, so that it's not one slowly nuking their system, but also that it's not slowing down their system. But laptop content is something I obviously I don't cover a lot here on the channel, but I will say, if laptop material was sent to me, I am going to release my PO box here sometime, probably around the upcoming holiday. In the pop-up live stream, we will share some channel updates. We probably won't do a end of year live stream like we did last year. For a quick note, because the show will go on a holiday break, as Christmas is on a Saturday this year. So, I mean, nobody wants to be watching Lab on that day. Rather you participate in the holiday or not, respectively. You likely don't you're not going to want to watch me on that day. So, the show would take a break on that weekend. But laptop content, say if like a laptop was sent to me to be reviewed or to be repaired or tested or what have you, I would cover some of the pros and cons, and just what to look out for in a laptop. I just don't use them as much, and I consider working on laptops kind of like working on motorcycles or working on crotch rockets, or I forgot what they call the other ones, like just slow riders, I guess. I don't know, Harley Davidsons, those kind of bikes. But I consider working on laptops like working on a motorcycle, right? Like, it's very compact, and there's a lot of like components on top of each other, and it's a delicate process, with, of course, with the screen being a part of it, and the keyboard essentially being underneath of where the PCB is, and the memory and SD storage being underneath. So it can be tricky, but I do want to do some laptop material. So if the big wigs feel I'm worthy enough and the channel size is large enough, then maybe they'll start sending me some material. I'm going to put the PO box up across the webs for everybody too, just in case you want to send me some fan mail. I'll take hate and positive stuff. If you want to send me some stuff, say if you make clothes or what have you, I'll wear it here on the show and shout you out. And Shifter says, before building my system, I was considering Digital Storm. Right. Yeah, we've seen a lot of Digital Storm. Digital Storm is a reputable system integrator as well. Not a bad choice at all. But Shifter 76, most importantly, you took the best route, in my opinion, and you built it yourself. So kudos to you. And again, let's give Shifter a quick round of applause for that, for building I mean, rather at some point, if you have your system built for you or you're uncomfortable with it, you may likely find yourself needing to service your system. Spotter Rules 1993, for example. Let's put brother Anthony on the spot. But we did his mini ITX gaming PC video. If you haven't seen that video, if you're like a new first-time viewer and YouTube didn't serve it to you yet, but we built Spotter Rules 1993 system, the RTX 3060, and Ryzen 7 58 or 5800X and a 3060 as its base components. And that was a heck of a journey and a heck of a build. And just recently, Sparta Rules upgraded that system himself with an AIO and another fan, and it looks awesome. Like, I wish I had a picture I could bring up here, but you should be following us in Discord. If you want to join our Discord, follow me on Twitter at Inside the Lab YT, Instagram or Twitter, whatever one is your preference. Or we're on Facebook too, and I may even do some when we do our pop-up live streams. I may bounce the feed over there on Facebook too. Try to breathe life into our Facebook page. It's my least favorite platform to engage with people, just because Facebook's algorithm is the absolute worst. It's man, you got to pay to play over there. You really do. Unless, in my opinion, unless you're live streaming, because all these platforms love live content. This is why the live show grows exponentially after it's been posted or after it's published. YouTube loves the real-time live watch time, and they will serve that video out to more people. But yeah. And Cliff says these consoles will be around for 8 years. Watch. That's about the lifespan, yeah, of most consoles we've seen. Is about 7 to 8 years. But I do think we'll see, of course, mild side upgrades in between those consoles' lifespans, like an Xbox Series X Pro or an Xbox Series X Enhanced Edition or a PS5 Deluxe Pro Edition, DEP, Deluxe Pro, or DPE, Deluxe Pro Edition. Something like that. We'll see mild upgrade enhancements along the way, but this will be the look for the next 8 years, and we're already about 13 months into their existence, and they are largely unavailable. But that should improve, and that should improve at least for the consoles by the next holiday season and likely by the summertime. But if y'all remember, and man, if I had the time, I would. But if y'all remember, I did say that the GPU situation would get better towards the first quarter of 2022. What do we have in stock? GPUs. What are the CEOs telling their shareholders? The situation will improve mid 2022. They're showing signs where it's starting to get better. I said this early on, and I stand by that. I really do think we'll start to see GPUs more on shelves at more of an available price, and consoles will be available by holiday season around this time next year. And Cliff says it can be a more viable alternative, especially now during GPU shortages. Yes, absolutely, and that's getting a laptop. And most people would even run. You could still have a multi-monitor setup with your laptop. You can have a 1080p monitor that you use on the side as a companion device, or you could have a 1440p monitor if it's a graphics card that's a little bit more on the beefier side, like a graphics card with an RTX 2060, and you want to play at a higher resolution. You could just run it in a multi-monitor setup like that and just play on a setup. You would obviously have to plug it in just to have the necessary power to feed those components, and also maybe consider some form of aftermarket cooling, like a cooling pad, or just make sure you are factoring in that laptops breathe underneath of them. Most laptops, not all, I have seen some really good designs where the exhaust is on the sides with intake, or the exhaust is in the rear of the laptop with exhaust fins along the sides of them. But traditionally, they're underneath the laptop, and yeah, most people don't realize that their laptops have to breathe. Cliff says, I did not know one of the cores on the consoles is locked away for the OS and front end. Yeah, I didn't know that either. And I'm not surprised. I mean, what are consoles again? Consoles are custom devices running custom OSs, running custom hardware, and that the system, at least the hardware, has to have that dedicated core to make sure it can handle the necessary optimizations to get away with that corporate console magic tree we talked about 2 live shows ago. Console corporate magic. That's what that one core is being reserved for. And Cliff says, I hope you're right, Lab. I really, really do. But I don't know. I see console coming more available before GPUs. Nice. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that over in the Discord. And I hope so, regardless of either way. We could see consoles becoming more available. Now that says that, well, what side of the fence is the shortage improving on? Is it improving for, proprietary CPUs, custom CPUs that are dedicated to have those graphics cards on board them? And which margin line would serve better for, say, AMD and Nvidia, or not Nvidia? Of course, they make most of their coin over in the data center and over their corporate, but on the corporate side. But for AMD, which would be better suited for their bottom line? Selling to their partners like Sony and Microsoft, or direct to consumers and other vendors like Digital Storm, for example, or CyberPower. I hope I'm right too, but you know what? This is what makes our community special, because we're going to be here to find out which one will come first together, and I can't wait to cover the story when it does. Thunder is in the house. Thunder gets the air horn. Thunder come in with the round of applause, or are you waving to us, Thunder? Either way, it's good to see LT. As we're jumping back over to the conversation, we were talking about pre-builts, and this system here. We were talking about pre-built PCs over building a custom PC as a holiday gift. We were talking about how graphics cards are, unfortunately, still being affected by inflation and cost about 50 to 60% more than they should. We're not going to dwell too much in it on this live show, but we've talked about it in previous shows before, both on the used market and the new market. Both markets have been widely affected by the GPU situation, the silicon shortage. The techdemic is what I've branded it here at Inside the Lab. That's an Inside the Lab branded term. So if you hear other of these jive turkey tech creators saying it, they took it from here first, right? Some of them other ones too. No Player in the Wild and the techdemic, the silicon shortage, the GPU shortage supreme. Those are Inside the Lab branded verbiage. But GPUs are still being widely affected by the techdemic, and really the cost will depend on the needs or expectations of the user and what route you take to assemble your system. But you can save a bit of time and money doing it yourself. Building a PC will cost you more simply because of the cost of higher end GPUs, all but the 1050 Ti. And that's what this build here that we're going to quickly walk through down, and to get to highlight the cost or to highlight the price relative to some of the pre-built systems we were just looking at. More so, the CyberPower PC with an RTX 2060 coming at $1,014, being in stock and will arrive before the big day. So the question is, if an individual positioned you and said, I have $1,200 and I want to get X, this individual, I want to get friend, fam, spouse, partner, family, what have you. I want to get them a gaming PC. I got $1,100 spend. It's the most I can spend. What should I do? Get a PC, build the PC, or buy a pre-built? Or hey, should I get a console? No, and need that too on the board. No, don't get a console. The price performance or the value you're going to get for your money, it's going to be horrible in terms of return. It's going to be you're likely losing money, because you can get so much more for what you would have to pay out for that console, even if that's buying a pre-built PC at about the $900 mark, because that's what the PS5 is selling for on average, somewhere between $9 to $1,049. So if you say, hey, well, if I have that, what kind of PC could I buy then? You can still get a very much capable PC, may not be as fast as that console, but would have the other benefits afforded to you Like this iBuy Power Pro. I seem to juggle that horribly, but this iBuy Power Pro pre-built PC, that's a tongue twister. iBuy Power Pro pre-built PC comes in at just under $900. iBuy Power Pro pre-built PC. iBuy Power Pro pre-built PC. Ha, yeah, yeah. iBuy Power Pro pre-built PC comes in at just under $900 and would cost less than even this PS5. So what if you wanted to build a system, because higher end graphics cards are what's causing the complete cost of a system to be inflated, of run more than what it should. So if you didn't need a higher end graphics card, the GTX 1050 Ti is what I would recommend for most entry level users, especially those individuals who are only interested in playing at 1080p, low settings. They don't really play games, competitively. They play casual or somewhere a little bit in between. And the gift presentee, or the presenter, the person presenting the gift, would say, well, okay, hey, can I hire WASD moves to build this system for me? What could I build? I have about $1,000, and if you're saying building a gaming PC could be slightly better because I can control the parts. Well, you tell me tell me about your needs. Well, they just want to play games at 1080p. They play Fortnite and Minecraft. We want something capable, but something that still very much has potential down the road. Still can't ignore the power of i5 10th generation Intel. We're going to go Intel here simply because of its slight IPC strength and the fact that even on this B560M Pro, you're giving your client the flexibility of upgrading the system down the road. Plus, as you can see, most of the prices here in these components are all available at Amazon.com, and they are, most importantly, not only available, but they're the also favorite A word, y'all. And no, it's not the one that rhymes with glass or the other way to say donkey, but it is affordable. It's available and it's affordable. Two of my favorite A's when it comes to buying high-end hardware or buying tech in general. Hell, buying anything for the most part. If it's available and it's affordable, then in my opinion, it's worth you buying. So it's available on Amazon, widely available on Amazon. This i5-10400 CPU capable, a CPU that can double as a gaming CPU with the 6 cores and 12 threads, locked cores with a locked boost. But you won't be. Most users aren't overclocking. You don't have to worry about that. The CPU comes with a cooler too, so you're saving money there. And just letting the CPU cooler do its thing. The motherboard, while not familiar with this seller here, but you can substitute any B560 or B460 Pro motherboard at about the same price point to achieve the same benefits of being able to upgrade this system down the road and still picking up a capable motherboard under that $100 price point. It gets tricky here because you don't have to get a RGB kit or a memory kit with RGB, but you do want to at least have a system with 16 gigabytes of DDR4. Any serious gaming system should have at least 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory of at least 3200 megahertz, which is typically widely supported between Ryzen 5 and i5 lineup of CPUs between both silicon vendors. But you can get a non-RGB kit for about $10 less if one wouldn't be interested in it at all, or you knew it wasn't something you want to pay extra for. And then of course a 1 terabyte SSD. 1 terabyte is a good start, especially if you know that individual wants to play multiple games or they've played multiple games in the past. But you can either go NVMe SSD here if you know the motherboard supports it. If you're working with a system integrator, talk to them, communicate with them. If this individual has come to you, like you, the viewer in the audience, like if you're Shifter 76 or if you're Sparta Rules, and somebody's come to you and they say, well, what should I get? Should I get an NVMe or should I just get a regular SSD? Because you're going to help me build this system, right? They might be saying, hey, you're going to help me build this system, right? Right. Okay, so which one should I get? Which one? Well, does your motherboard even have support for M.2 NVMe SSD? How often will they use their system? How many apps will they have open at a time? And there's other factors to take into consideration, but likely a standard 1 terabyte SSD will be enough for most users. And then we get here to the GTX 1050 Ti. It's available here on Newegg, but the prices are about the same over on Amazon.com as well. They're selling for about between $289 to $325, but and even less over at Micro Center. Again, Micro Center is Bay, y'all. Right? Who said it? Shifter said it earlier. Micro Center is Bay. If you get to a Micro Center, you can save even more on this particular graphics card, and you might even come across some others that are in stock. As let me jump right here to we'll jump over to Micro Center here really fast and check out some what cars are in stock if we have time. But if you can get to Micro Center to pick up this graphics card, you can get it over on Amazon. But the GTX 1050 Ti is widely available around a lot of large online retailers and even stores that require, brick and mortar stores that require feet on the ground to operate at a high capacity. And it's a great starter card if one would, want to play light games, Minecraft, and it can still run higher end game. I keep saying Minecraft, but because Minecraft doesn't have high requirements, much like Roblox and Fortnite and even CS:GO, Rainbow Six Siege. You can play those games rather pleasantly on this graphics card, and especially at 1080p. It's a great 1080p medium to high setting graphics card in most games. Higher end, you may need to turn the settings down because it only has 4 gigabytes of DDR4. So again, you're looking at somewhere between low, medium, high, depending on the game. Ultra is a stretch because it may require more detail, and you just won't have enough dedicated VRAM to store those textures. But this graphics card is available. The case, again, we talked about cases. Case can be a little reflection. It could be a little tricky because it's a reflection of personality. And you may want tempered glass. You may not want tempered glass. You may want a case with RGB fans. Maybe you don't want a case with RGB fans. Maybe you want a case with a front panel mesh. Maybe the one that has a closed panel mesh like this Pantex Eclipse P300. But you can manipulate your budget here depending on how much you have to spend. Just know you can get a decent mid-size ATX tower for between 50 or 40 to 60 USD. And of course, the higher end you go, the more premium the build quality. But if it's just a standard case, one that doesn't really require you to go in and change much after the fact, then you can get away with, say, the Fantex Eclipse P300. The power supply here, I did go a little bit overboard as it's a 750 watt, and the expected wattage for the system is only about 224 watts. So you should probably add about 15 to 20 more watts on top of that. 750 seems overkill, but this is here for future flexibility because another Inside the Lab branded verbiage is that it's not about future proofing your system. It's about keeping up with the future. As games become more demanding, you may want to change your hardware to keep up with the demand of games becoming more demanding. So to avoid having to upgrade your CPU, your power supply unit down the road, it's good to put your money here now so that you can, say, add maybe a 3060 down the line when those graphics cards become more available. I still think that we're going to see a 30 Super series coming up here. It's about the same time frame that the 20 series Super lineup of graphics cards launch. After the 20 series launch, is about some 16, 17 months afterwards. So we're about there. Coming up on that. So I think we will see Super Series GPUs launch. Maybe that will cause stock to be more available on those lower end SKUs. And you could pick up a graphics card like the 3060 or the 3070 for closer to their MSRP or retail. And so to not have to upgrade your graphics card or your power supply unit, I'm sorry, then you should invest here now while you can, especially with going with a fully modular power supply unit. That would bring the cost of this system $817.90. You say, Lab, how? I tell you that all of these components are available now on Amazon. Whether it highlights that here or not, like with the 1050 Ti or this Western Digital 1 terabyte SSD. And even if you did say, well, man, we actually had about $1,000 to spend, and I'm working with somebody to help me build the system. You say, well, where can we enhance this system with another $100 to $200? That could be a faster CPU, a better looking case, right? Or, with another $300 in your GPU department, you could be somewhere along the lines of a 16 series lineup of graphics cards, like a 1660 Ti or just a GTX 1660 for about 10 to 15% more performance and 2 gigabytes more VRAM. You would also be able to run games at a higher quality and also run a faster CPU. Then, once again, looking at our cost, $800.17, well under that $1,000 limit that we talked about with, say, going with a CyberPower PC. Now, you don't get it. The GPU is certainly faster, newer generation i5, and that's only $200 more than what this system would cost. Now, at face value, it would be certainly worth that extra $200 investment, say, for the i5 11400 and an RTX 2060. You lose out, though, on what makes, building a PC special, and that is having the ability to pick your parts or, choose what goes inside. Not even like with the direction that NZXT's BLD service offers you. This is a bit more personal, much more personal, as you can pick and choose all the way down to the core of your system of what's going inside of there. Maybe you don't want to go with the Pantex P300. Maybe there's a Cooler Master case you saw. Maybe there's a totally a different brand of case that you saw that you want to use. Maybe you want to go with a smaller form factor build, like an SFX build, somewhere along the lines with a mini ITX motherboard and a mini ITX case. You also have that choice. You're not limited, but you're going to miss out on certain performance metrics, because an extra $200, you can consider this an upgrade. Yeah, you don't have the benefit of having 16 gigabytes of DDR4, and even if you add that to this cost, it's going to put you a little over about 1100. But even still, with the RTX 2060s is going for about in the 6 gigabyte models. I know Nvidia just dropped to 12 gigabyte models, but with the 6 gigabyte model still selling for about $400 to $500, it still puts building this system with that graphics card over this price point here. But if you wanted to keep it console modest, you can build a system that's under $1,000 and will be just as capable of a console. And again, this is a route to take if time is on your side, and especially if you're, especially if this is for like a birthday gift. Let me get caught up in the chat here really fast. Let me see. Let me go up. Shift to 76 says, need to get off this 2070 Super while the prices are up. Yeah, your 2070 Super probably worth about what, 400 or 500. Put that toward another 300-400, and you're in the long lines of like a 30 series graphics card or a higher end AMD card. What kind of games do you play, Shifta, and what resolution do you play them at, or what resolution refresh rate do you play them at? Cliff says, where can I get a six pack of power? I need some power. I don't know, family. Hey, Micro Center is Bay. You better go to Micro Center, Cliff. And Janice, Megan, and Patrick Tate. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, y'all. I mean, you got to listen. This is a family-friendly environment, and you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place if that ain't for you. All is welcome, but this is a family-friendly environment, man. We're nonsensical around here. But Cliff says, I think I'd buy a used 980 Ti before a 1050 Ti for $300, and I agree. And the used market is so personal. I always tell people, if you're willing to take that risk, then go for it. But you pull up 980 Ti's. Let me switch over here so you all can see it too. Because 980 Ti's are selling for about $300 to $400 over here in the USD. If you're buying one from eBay, eBay isn't the de facto go-to, but it is a good indicator of what it might be selling on other markets. So like Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, you've probably seen them if they're up there for about $250 to $300, somewhere along the lines there. But again, y'all, the used market talk, that's another conversation, because if you're comfortable with going to the used market, you will always be able to save money. Even with graphics cards being currently inflated, you could still find some savings over there with graphics cards along the line, like the 9 series, like the GTX 980 Ti with 6 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. Still a capable card. But If you're looking for that used price to performance, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't sleep on the used market, guys. Like, don't sleep on the used market at all, especially with cars like 9 Series and RX 580s, GTX 9 Series. 10 Series still sell a little high, but you could find GTX 1060s for about, $300 to $400, somewhere along the lines there. Still. So, yeah, definitely don't sleep on the used market. If you like some guidance there, we will have an upcoming show dedicated to the revitalization of the used market, if you will. But yeah, Cliff, that is a conversation we're going to have. Because Cliff says, but that's for those who navigate the secondhand market. Yeah, absolutely. That's for those who navigate the secondhand market. They don't really need the guidance. They know what to look for. And if you do, if that's you, you're in the right place. I find great passion in scouring the used market and finding that hidden price to performance, and then also documenting that for you lovely ladies and gentlemen here. It's one of the reasons that inspired me to become a YouTuber and a content creator. Sparta Rules, brother Anthony says, do you think the NZXT build with the APU with the Ryzen 5600G is a good price at $800? It's a good price if the user's expectations stops there. If they don't want much more out of their system than to say run 1080p low medium games, GTA 5, Fortnite, Minecraft, lower end games like that at $800, it could be a good starter system to add a GPU down the line, like a GTX 980 Ti for about $324, to then that would then put that build a little over that $1,000 limit, with a 6-core 12-thread CPU. I believe the 5600G is still 6-core 12-thread with its onboard Radeon Vega graphics. But they could still add a dedicated card down the road as their needs evolve. Like, it's a good starter. Most users wouldn't want more from their system unless there's a hindrance. For example, their CPU is hotter than what's comfortable for them, or maybe their system is loud, or maybe they don't want to use a CPU cooler. Maybe they want to go with an AIO. Um, yeah, and Spider Rose says I would slap a 3060 in it. Yeah, I saw an article where one user was able to pick up a 3060 for $329 in a Micro Center. So again, if you're able to go to a Micro Center, because you could luck up and actually pick up a card at a reasonable price, especially at MSRP, especially when it's a newer series card. But slapping a 3060 in it would be a decent a decent ad. Keep a note: RTX 3060 costs about the same as the GTX 980 Ti right now. So yeah, it's a band-aid on the bullet wound approach, in my opinion. But if one is able to scour the used market, you could get a little bit more used price to performance with your money going that way. So, all right, let's bounce back here because we talk about building a PC. We walked through the system where I said, you could build this system, a good starter system, for about $817. It comes in at under 1,000 USD if one wanted to take advantage of new price to performance. You could upgrade this system down the road to 6 months, adding a RTX 3060, or excuse me, adding a RTX 3060, or a mid-tier used card over in the used market, or a card that was returned that's on the shelf and that's being sold as an open box item. So you have different options, but what should you do? Let's switch back over here, because while building a PC is a route to take, again, if time is on your side, because we're going to talk about some of the obstacles and how time could be a hindrance depending on which path you want to go. Building a pre-built, or buying a system that's already built for you, going with a system integrated service like NZXT's BLD. I mean, building a PC, this route is for you if time is on your side. But what should you do? Uh, what should you do if they already have a system? Like, what should you do if they already have a or they already have a PC. Like what hardware hurdles, which I'm gonna share this funny meme I created, but it's like what hardware hurdles do they have? Is it a system replacement or is it a system enhancement? Like what should you do if they already have a PC? This is how we're going to this is the third segment here in our show because it's such an important question. You could have a friend, fam, loved ones, partner, spouse, child who already has a system. Maybe they've complained about the performance. Maybe they can't run some of the games they want to play. For example, maybe they can't play Call of Duty Warzone. You know they really want to upgrade their system so they can play newer games. Or maybe they want to play their games at a higher FPS. So they want their games to feel much smoother. Or they want to take advantage of newer features. So another newer inside the lab branded term, and that's hardware hurdles. And that's what hardware hurdles do they have? And then I thought about this. I made this meme when I thought about that term, like a hardware hurdle. And I'm just like, well, one hardware hurdle is you got the GPU shortage, and then you got me saving for a GPU. It is like right smack dab in your face. But I like this meme. This meme is pretty funny to me. I'll maybe share it over my Instagram, but I made it, didn't find it. I made it, so I'll share it over my Instagram. If you're following me again, follow me over there at Inside the Lab YT. But what should you do if they already have a PC? Well, you should follow the parts process. They say, Lab, what is the parts process? Well, we're going to walk through what the parts process is. Parts process. Look, got some tongue twisters tonight, y'all. We're going to walk through what the parts process is here really fast. But if they already have a PC, walk through the parts process. Now, what is the parts process? The parts process, well, parts is an acronym. If you're not sure what an acronym is, an acronym is a phrase or a sentence formed by words that are whole, letters that are whole words themselves. So in this example, we have parts, and you want to follow the parts process. The first part of the parts process is to prepare, right? You want to prepare. You prepare your path and for your budget, regardless if cost is a concern or not. Like, how much do you have, or how much are you willing to spend on this gift? This gift being a pre-built PC or a custom PC. You want to prepare yourself. How much do you have, and how much are you willing to spend? Is it 1,000? Is your ceiling like 1,200? Where you say, no matter what, I need help, or get assistance, and familiarize yourself with this platform. Again, I'm talking to our viewers who are here now, and you're considering this gift yourself. Like, you're that individual who's considering buying this gift for a family member or a partner or your spouse or what have you. And also our regular viewers, because you might find yourself presented with this question, and you should be armed with the necessary tools to help that individual make a conscionable decision with their money, especially being that these are essentially expensive gifts. But you should prepare your path and your budget. How much do you have? How much are you willing to spend? Get assistance. Familiarize yourself with this platform. That way you know how far your money will be able to take you. Get help with the community. You can always point someone over to my channel, have them search over and say, hey, just search over on YouTube, Inside the Lab with Tech, or over on my Instagram or my Twitter. I normally have my links readily available there. Just prepare. You should recommend that they prepare themselves. This is part of the parts process, which again is an acronym. The first letter P represents prepare. Prepare with your path. Prepare your path with your budget. How much do you have to spend, or are you willing to spend? Get assistance. Familiarize yourself with this platform. The second letter, or A, stands for ask. Ask. It's okay if the gift isn't a surprise, so long as it's not outweighed by the thought. It's something I've stood by here, and that's essentially saying, would they be interested in a particular type of component or system? Maybe a new monitor. Maybe it's not necessarily a new system that they feel could benefit their experience the most. Maybe it can be a new monitor. Maybe it can be, a new gaming headset. Maybe it could be a new keyboard and mouse. But it's okay to ask, say, hey, did you by chance would maybe want a new system for, the holiday season or for your birthday, or do you want to upgrade your computer? Ask, excuse me, get questions, because most likely that individual or the recipient already has their mind made up. So it should be a part of your strategy. This could also help avoid any awkward returns or refund actions you may have to take after the big holiday. If you buy something that's incompatible, something they didn't need, something, God forbid, something they already have, right? Like, so it's okay to ask. And again, it's okay if the gift isn't a surprise. You don't have to be like, but I really, lab, you don't understand. I really, really, really wanted to surprise them with this system. It's okay. It's okay if it's not a surprise. Just don't let so long as it's not outweighed by the thought, because again, it's the thought that matters. The thought is that you wanted to enhance their experience, or you wanted to make sure they can get more out of something they really, really enjoy. If that's playing and experiencing games on a PC, then the thought here is that you want to present them with a gift that can help, 2x or level up their experience over on the platform. So ask, because yeah, I mean, they already might have their mind set up on the kind of system they want or the particular hardware configuration. If they say, well, I want an NVIDIA, I want a new graphics card, and you say, well, a new graphics card, well, what kind of, what's your configuration? Talk to me. It's okay to ask. Again, it's okay if the gift isn't a surprise, so long as it's not outweighed by the thought. Then you have, for R, you have not ask, research. 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 It's always key. It's critical. Research based on your findings and the questions you ask from the previous letter. A, for asking and getting as much intel and information as you can. Discover what is the best route for you, either building a system or buying a pre-built system, and which gift or gifts can provide the most value for your money. Like, which direction is right for their situation and for your budget. Is that a complete system upgrade? Is that, buying a pre-built system because they only their expectations are so focused and so niche that they don't necessarily require high-end hardware, and they may not even need a system with a dedicated graphics card. This is why, again, part of the first part of the part process is to prepare, get assistance, and familiarize yourself with this platform so that you could better pair, or which direction is right for their situation and for your budget. This will also give you a better understanding on how to, say, price your gift, rather if it's a supplemental upgrade, because believe it or not, gift upgrades like under 100 USD, like a 5 to 100 terabyte SSD or a CPU cooler upgrade, could make for valuable system enhancements. So find out what their hardware hurdles are. I mean, we talked about that with this meme here. Let me see if I could bring it up again. Well, I'll bring it up in a second. But remember this meme? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll bring it up in a second. But with that meme, find out what their hardware hurdles are, and find out which direction is right for their situation and for your budget. Should you build a CPU or build a CPU? Can you build a CPU? Should you build a pre-built system? Should you buy a pre-built PC, or should you build one and buy the parts and build one yourself, or should you look at supplemental system upgrades like additional storage or a better CPU cooler? Find out what their hardware hurdles are. Are they struggling to run are they unable to run newer games? Chances are they're in need of a new system, just an overall system overhaul, if you will. Or if they're coming from are they playing games on console and they're just like, well, I'm tired of playing on console. Find out what their hardware hurdles are, find out what their pain points are, and this would help you, the gifter, decide on which direction you should go, which direction is right for their individual needs and situation, and which one is right for your budget. So you have research, and then T is for timing. And that's essentially, don't wait until the last minute. Follow this good, better, best model. Okay. It's good to act weeks before the holiday season start. Like, it's good to get started way before December, kind of before we start to move deeper into December, like where we are now, like early mid December. It's good, again, this is the good, better, best model. It's good to act weeks before the holiday season starts, it's better. Okay, it's better to start before the holiday season nears. So we're talking like, Thanksgiving, November, somewhere between there, before we even get into December. It's better to start then. It's best, though, it's best to plan, start, and save months ahead of time. 2 to 3 months ahead of the holiday season. It's all about timing. If you want to build, say, a system for December, you can start it's best to start planning 2 to 3 months ahead of time. That way you are working with a higher ceiling. You have much more to work with. And it also starts with preparing yourself, getting assistance and familiarizing yourself with this platform. Okay? It's all about timing. Don't wait until the last minute. Follow the good, better, best model. It's good to act weeks before the holiday season start. It's better to start before the holiday season nears, and it's best to start 2 to 3 months ahead of time. Plan, research, way before the holiday season approaches. That's the best method to go when it comes to your timing, when it comes to trying to nail that gift, in terms of rather that be a pre-built PC or a custom PC. Follow the good, better, best model. And then for S, it's essentially start. Like, simply just start the process. Order service systems, or service by service, rather, if you're working with a system integrator, whether that be online or IRL, order the service, order the system, or the parts as soon as you can, like in that order. If you're having somebody build it for you, lock in that service date, lock in that date, get started, right? Order that service. If it's a pre-built, order that system, get it in as early and as soon as possible. Or if it's parts, order your parts as soon as possible. But most importantly, like in this part of the part process, just simply start. Just simply start the process buying. Like, just start buying. This is a general rule of thumb around this time, especially when you're buying online. If you're building a PC, again, what I recommend is you buy all your components at once if you can. Like, if you have your money already saved up and you sat it aside, it's in that piggy bank, you're ready to smash open to trade it in for a high-end PC. And if you can't, start with your most expensive components first. That way you're not deterred as time progresses and maybe other parts become unavailable. You have the core first and foremost, and you can make any changes. Say, like, if one case isn't available, or if there's a particular power supply unit that you have to shift, at least you have your core components locked in. And give yourself about 10 to 14 days from conception to delivery. This applies to individual components as well, but give yourself about 10 to 14 days from the time that you design your system and get everything prepared, and you got your tools, you got your copy of Windows, you're ready to get rocking and rolling. Make sure you give yourself ample time. This is why it's good to just start. Buying a pre-build is a slightly different process. If it's in stock, right, like some of the ones we looked at here, not this one in particular, but some of the pre-builds we looked at before, like, if it's in stock, part of the parts process is get started. Okay, like, get started. If you say, hey, you know what, fam, this PC isn't bad, it only has 8 GB of DDR4, but it shouldn't be a hard upgrade installation. If you wanted to go with a faster kit, or if you wanted to 2x SD RAM, it's not hard to install. You should really go with the system. It's only going to cost you 1,014, and it's free shipping, which is good. You need to save even more money there, and it's set to arrive before the big day. That's any of these pre-builds we looked at. With the exception of this one, it says arriving after Christmas. But for the ones that are available, whether that be over on Best Buy or here on Amazon, you want to act soon, act fast. Remember, act quick, buy fast. That's what I recommend, especially when it comes to buying online and around this time. And why you simply just want to start. You just want to simply start the process. Order within the same time frame if you can, and within your budget. And if the system meets the recipient's needs and expectations, jump on it. Okay, this is if you're buying a pre-build, because again, it's slightly different than if you're building. If you're building, give yourself about 10 to 14 days before the big day if you want to have it presented by the big day. If not, it's perfectly fine. You can work with the schedule that's flexible and that works for you. But Give yourself a little bit of time if you're building, if you're buying a pre-built, if it's in stock and meets the expectations and the needs of what the user is looking for and it's within your budget. Like if you had 1,200 and you saw that pre-built for 1,014, because you could take that other portion and invest in a decent 1080p monitor, like a 75 hertz 1080p monitor, or possibly even a 1440p monitor for a little over 200 USD. But a gaming essential PC and its core components are selling high and they're selling fast. And whether it's a pre-built or a custom system, it's good to not get ready, but to be ready. Understand what the needs are and what it's going to cost. Reach out and strike quick with the tools garnered from the parts process, the parts process we just walked through here. Spider Rose says, I'm thinking about surprising Jordan with the gaming PC. Oh, nice. Nice. Storage, new RAM kit, RGB lights, RGB fans, the list is endless. You could do awesome gifts like those ideas. Yes, and that's kind of like what we talked about in episode 52, where we talked about some gifts under $100. It goes way beyond some of those that we highlighted. While those were some impressive gifts, like the USB Yeti microphone or the Pebbles creative desktop speakers, the cordless blower, just to name a few, the mechanical keyboard. There were a few gifts under $100, but just like Sparta Rules said, that can be storage, new RAM kit, a 1 terabyte SSD for $89, or NVMe M.2 for $100, $110, a little over $100. But if you can get into a Micro Center, you could save even more on a lot of those gifts that we just name dropped. And like Sparta Rule says, yes, the list is endless, and a lot of those gifts could also introduce performance enhancing metrics to that system, whether that be new storage or a better cooling apparatus to lower your CPU temperatures, or again to give you more a little bit more customization with your system with RGB lights or RGB components like RGB RAM or 3-pack of RGB case fans. So the list is endless. And when you start with, when you follow the parts process, that's prepare and familiarize yourself with the process of what goes into building a system. Ask, it's okay if the gift isn't a surprise, so long as it's not outweighed by the thought. But ask, get as much information into that user's hardware hurdles and their pain points. What are they looking for in, say, the next generation or their next form of gaming? Maybe they're ready to go into a higher form of gaming that's over on the PC. They've been gaming on the PS4 and Xbox One, right? Maybe that's Sparta Rules 1993 and Jordan's situation, his partner. Maybe, they're ready to move on from a console and experience a higher form of gaming. Take that to the next level. Ask, get into what their pain points are and what their hardware hurdles are. So it's good to ask. Then for R, you have research. Based on your findings and the questions asked, discover which route is best suited for their situation and your budget. Again, this could also give you a better idea of how much money you may have to spend on your gift or gifts if it's not a complete system. If it's not a complete system or a system overhaul. And then T was for timing, and that's don't wait till the last minute. Follow the good, better, best model that Lab here, your boy Lab, recommends. It's good to start before the holiday nears. It's best to get started before the holiday approaches, but it's better to start before the holiday nears, but it's best to get started to plan and research months before the holiday approaches. If you know you want to get, that special someone a gaming PC as a gift or a PC as a gift, then it's best to start to plan 2 to 3 months ahead of time. That's also applicable if it's not a Christmas gift and it's, say, a birthday gift or a celebratory gift, an award gift, if you will. Graduated from college, you graduated from high school, maybe you got a certificate of training, maybe you got your GED. It doesn't matter. If it's worth celebrating to you and the people around you who are special, and you so happen to want to bless them with a high-end system, it's best to start 2 to 3 months ahead of that special time. Okay, prepare yourself, familiarize yourself with the process, ask the necessary questions, research based off of those questions you find, plan, make sure your timing is right, follow the good, better, best model, and just simply start buying, start the process, order that service. Okay, if you're working with a system integrator, say, hey, Cliff, WASDB, what are your fees? What would you charge me? This is my budget. This is what I have. This is what I'm looking for. What would you charge to get this system on and popping? Some old school slang right there for you. Okay. And again, when you're building, give yourself 10 to 14 days from conception to delivery to get everything all set up. Give yourself any necessary room for error or any unforeseen issues that you may run into along the way. And if you're buying a pre-built, if it checks off all the requirements, fam, jump on it. Buy fast, act quick, or act quick, buy fast. Either way you go down the slide there, it's going to work out for you, okay? But so long as it meets your budget, okay, and the recipient's expectations, you should jump on it, order it within the same time frame. Still give yourself that 10 to 14 day window in case there's other parts you want to buy along with it, okay? And rather it be a pre-built or a custom PC, it's good to not get ready, but be ready. That's why when you're following that good, better, best model, it's best to start 2 to 3 months ahead of time. All right, it's good to just get started before either the holiday season approaches or before that individual's big day approaches. Now there's an X amount of time left until anxious hands are eager to receive, tear open, and enjoy new toys, rather that be for the mature or that be for the young. And rather that's a leapfrog, a laptop, as Cliff would recommend, or an upgrade, or a desktop PC, nailing the ideal and most thoughtful gift starts with your parts, right? Starts with your parts. A pre-built PC is a quickened, balanced cost approach and is ideal if time is of a concern. And what you're afforded though is the simplicity with ordering a gaming PC delivered ready to play. Now, building a gaming PC is mostly about the journey as it is the destination. We talked about that a lot, right? That is what makes it worthwhile, is that it's the journey is what makes it special, not getting to the destination. The destination is special, sure, but it's mostly about the journey. It's about researching your parts, the woes of building, dropping that CPU in down for the first time, hearing that GPU or the CPU for the first time, hearing that GPU snap into that PCIe lane, fastening that motherboard down to the chassis, fastening the power supply unit down to the chassis, working your cable management to where it works for you. It's mostly about the journey as it is the destination. This is about climbing a mountain, fam. Okay? That is receiving or reaching the pinnacle that is gaming. This platform, the PC. It's a mountain, okay? It's a mountainous climb. There are struggles. There are moments of doubt. There are moments of clarity. There are moments of confusion. There are moments of worry, okay? That is what the journey is all about. Now, once you get to the destination, it makes building a PC worthwhile, okay? The silicone shortage, though, has made it an expensive endeavor, but if time is on your side, then the wait is worth it. Remember how in a few episodes back I said building a PC, the wait is worthwhile? If time is on your side, then the wait is worth it. If you're following the good, better, best model, and you're following the best direction to go, then you're starting 2 to 3 months ahead of time. You're researching you're preparing yourself by familiarizing yourself with the process. If it's a gift for an individual, you're asking the right questions. You're extracting their pain points. You're trying to figure out what their hardware hurdles are. That's not just limited to a PC. That can be over on a console as well. They're just custom hardware, custom pieces of devices, and custom boxes. You're researching, based off of those questions and finding out what's the best direction for you and your budget and their situation and what it is they want out of their next level of experiencing PC or experiencing games. Could even be VR. They may want to have content creation aspirations. Maybe they want to stream some games. Ask questions. If you've prepared yourself and you're working with the right person, you have somebody like Sparta Rules 1993 or Cliff or Shifter 76, all the good friends and fam who was here with us. They may have you as a resource. Guide them in the right direction. Make sure that their research puts them in a direction that best suits that individual's situation and their budget. Make sure the timing is appropriate. That's what you make sure your timing is appropriate. Following the good, better, best models is what I was just getting ready to say. Making sure you're following that good, better, best model. And then just start the process. Start buying. Order that service. Order that system. Okay? Order those parts. If you're building it yourself, give yourself that 10 to 14 time frame, that window between conception to delivery, between receiving your parts, ordering and receiving them, and then building once you have them all together. A PC as a gift is most accessible with a pre-built system. You get it now and it'd be ready for the big day. Okay? If you plan on having that PC built or you're doing it yourself, then I would have gotten started yesterday while getting ready now. Follow the parts process, and either direction will guide you along the way. Okay? Follow the parts process. And rather that be pre-built PC or custom DIY, a custom pre-built system, if you follow the parts process, you prepare, you act, you research, you make sure your timing is correct, and you start, either direction will guide you along the way. There is no right or wrong answer here. The right or wrong answer is, not following the proper procedure to making sure your money is well spent. Hardware is selling at an inflated rate. You still should be able to get the most value for your money. Sparta Rules says they are playing on a Mac PC. You had me at playing and you had me at Mac. And I'm going to leave it there. We don't talk about Apple products here a great deal. And man, that's a hot sticker, Cliff, with the $2 super sticker. I appreciate you, family. Cliff gets the super sticker
Thanks
wrap.
for the support,
Super sticker wrap. Super sticker from the super fans. One more time. One more
Thanks for
time.
the support, fam.
Uh-huh. Super sticker from the super fans. Cliff with the $2 super sticker, man. I appreciate you, Cliff, coming through with the supers. Can we get one more time for that pixelated hippo?
Thanks for the support, fam.
Uh-huh.
Super sticker from the super fans.
Right? Mrs. Maya says, inside the lab of tech, what's the final piece of advice you'd like to give the audience? Well, that's a great question presented by Mrs. Moderator, and I know we lost some viewers along the way, so I'm gonna talk to those of you who are live with us, and I'm gonna talk to you, the replay viewer that's watching, and you made it this far through what's about to consider to be a typical Inside the Lab live stream. The final bit of advice I can give you is to I can't stress enough the the due diligence of taking your time and reading about the components before you buy them. I also cannot stress enough that if you are not familiarized with the lingo, the verbiage, to get help. Ask, find the right resource, whether that be a video or an actual person. The final advice I would give to the audience is spend your money proper. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm here to tell you that if you have $3,000 to spend on a gaming PC, fam, make sure that it is the best possible PC you can buy for $3,000. If you have $900 to build on a PC, then make sure it's the best possible PC you can build or buy with that $900. That's going to require proper research, proper timing, asking the right questions, and starting the process, okay, and researching what direction or route is best for you. That's the final piece of advice I would give to the audience, is to make sure that you're not more so putting your money where your mouth is, but you're putting your money where the value is. Because regardless of how much you have to spend, you should still be able to get what it is you are expecting out of the system. whether it's a higher end system that's running along the lines of like $3,000, or a slightly lower end system that's $700 without a dedicated graphics card, for example. Much like this pre-built PC we bought up here really fast here, we'll close out with. Much like this pre-built PC here, selling for $700. Base your budget off of the individual's needs and expectations. They're a casual gamer, non-competitive, they don't need much. In terms of not needing much, is you don't need much contributed to the overall budget of the system. Not that they don't need much in terms of components or hardware. They don't need much in terms of how much you would want to invest in a system. If it's light-based games, you don't need to be over that $1,300 to $1,400 price point. Remember, that was just an average where I said that can, swing you somewhere over. Pre-builts can run between $1,200 to $2,000 plus with the dedicated video card. It depends on the configuration. But you're starting at that, say, 1K mark. So if you know that individual say, well, hey, I want them to have a system that, they won't have to upgrade in the future, or I won't have to really do much. It all starts off what your individual needs and preference are. Spend your money properly. Make sure you're getting the most value. Great question, Mrs. Moderator. And Mrs. Ma caught me off guard. I did not know she was going to ask me that. I should find something soft to maybe toss her away. Okay, there's nothing by me. But great question. I really hope that helps someone here in the audience. And Cliff says, can you repeat that last part? I was lost. Case window shopping. I got it bad, man. There's nothing wrong with, enjoying, case shopping. Case shopping is one of my favorite activities. I don't know if you were present for that part, Cliff, but we were talking about that. I think you trickled into the show. But, I said that a pre-built PC, if you were looking for like a final judgment or a final verdict between pre-built or custom DIY, I said that a pre-built PC is a quickened, balanced cost approach and is ideal if time is of a concern. And, you get that simplicity with ordering a gaming PC that's ready day one, that's ready to play, it's delivered ready to play. Now, building a gaming PC is mostly about the journey than it is the destination that makes it worthwhile. And, the silicon shortage has made it expensive, but if time is on your side, then it's worth it. It's worth the wait. Following the good, better, best model, it's best to, stick to a, following the good, better, best model, it's best to start that process about 2 to 3 months before whatever it is you're prepared to celebrate, rather that be the December holiday season or a birthday or individual, day of celebration that's important to you or your loved ones and family, right? But if you plan on having that PC built, or if you're doing it yourself, then like I said, I would have gotten started yesterday, while still very much getting ready for the now, meaning familiarize yourself, follow the parts process, and either direction will guide you along the way. Cliff says, there just isn't a shining star out there. Maybe something custom. Oh, maybe. Maybe you can go with, I think, what is it, Digital Storm? One of those that makes custom cases. Maybe. Or go with the Mini ITX build. That's where the challenge is for me. Going small there. Going small and still deliver a system that can perform well and, isn't limited to heat and other factors that you have to take into consideration when going with a smaller form factor build. But all good stuff, y'all. But I think it's time I think the ride is slowly coming to an end. Let's give our closing shout outs here really fast. If you're still present, let me know. If you're still present, let me know as we give our closing shout outs. First and foremost to Cliff, WASD Moves, for dropping the supers on the table for us. Shout out to WASD Moves, Cliff. Shout out to Sparta Rules 1993. Both of you guys, channel members, I appreciate you supporting the channel, being channel members. Let's keep going here. Janice and Patrick, if you guys are still watching, hopefully, come back with a little bit more positive energy, because that's what we're all about here. Shift to 76, it is, I'm not sure if you're still with us, but thanks for hanging out with us. Thunder, it was good to see you, son, for popping in. One of my kids. Oh, Cliff shared the fail, the fail custom emoji. I'm gonna drop in the wow. That's for channel members. For those of you who don't know, consider sign up to be a channel member. But who else? Colleen Webster. It was good to see you as well, I guess. And Zesty, Cloud, and I think that's it. Yeah, so it was good to see you guys. If you're just now trickling, sorry, you kind of caught it towards the end, but definitely stick around and watch the replay. A lot of value dropped in here. All of the products that were mentioned throughout this live show will be available down in the pinned comments. They will be affiliate links. Your boy Lab is on a journey to becoming a full-time media creator, and things like affiliate sales and commissions do help. So if you want to support the channel, consider using our affiliate links. Consider signing up to be a channel member. Do a quick exit shameful plug here. Let me see if I have the channel members. No. Okay. All right. Well, consider signing up to become a channel member. Maybe Mrs. Ma could drop the link in the chat. You can watch the quick under-minute sales pitch video for some of the benefits you would get to being an exclusive channel member here at Inside the Lab PC Tech. It is one of the core models here into my path in becoming a full-time creator and having an income that's sustainable. Right here is Cliff laying out all the stickers. Cliff is highlighting some of the stickers that are available to channel members, and we can get more. The more channel members we have to sign up, then the more custom gifts and emojis I can have here. So share these videos out with your friends and family, guys. Share it on your social media. Share it in areas where you think it would be most beneficial to new people who are ready to make a splash onto this platform. Most importantly, sorry, I'm losing my words here as I'm getting a little hungry. I'm starting to lose my words here, so that's where it's about time, you guys. Is we typically tried to keep the show under 3 hours, but I see we're running into almost 11 here. Sorry about the show running late. We will be back next Saturday following the holiday series or the holiday special. Sign up to become an Inside the Lab insider. If you're here on the replay, sign up to become a channel member. These are ways to support the channel, and you can also gain access to our Discord, which helps keeps the conversation going with a lot of our core members here, and could also act as a 24-hour, 7 days a week troubleshooting access for you if you needed some help with your system at any point during your journey. I need to pop in here a little bit more, but as we do more with the members only live show, we're also going to do more over in the members only live or the Discord over there. So that'll be all for this one, y'all. We're going to play the outro. If you haven't seen the outro, do stick around for that, and I will catch you all on the next one. But until then, be easy. Hey, Cliff, I appreciate you. Chris dropping the Christmas trees and the snowman on us. Hey, fam, happy holidays to everybody. I'll catch you all in the next one. Be easy.